Today I'm getting ready to eat rice in New York City, which is a Korean marinated seafood place, and they're gonna deliver soon. I'm patiently waiting for them to give me a call. I already have my skincare on and everything. Today I'm gonna be basing my look off this lip color, Peri Para Ink Drop 6. It's been a year since I've moved to New York City and I have been doing a lot of processing. It's my first time out of my parents' house. I think that's them. Okay, got the food, it's in the fridge, and I continue my makeup. I hope it's good. I mean, people have had really good reviews about it, but I'm scared because what if it's not good? But whatever. Today it's raining, so I feel like that's perfect weather for this food because I ordered kanji, I ordered jokbal. Oh my god, just like, and the crabs. I'm so excited. So my first year in New York, I feel like it's been really challenging, hard in a lot of aspects. There's so much that happens when you first come. Number one, move out of your parents' house. Number two, you're like in your early 20s trying to figure out like who you are, what you are. I didn't come here with a full-time job. I was just freelancing at the time. Kind of scary. Like I kind of just up and left without not much preparation, which I think honestly is the best way to do it. I don't know. I feel like when I really prepare for something, get too in my head about it and I don't want to pursue it anymore, it was honestly the perfect timing. When I first moved here, I had a lot of guilt that I needed to get rid of because growing up as a Hmong girl, my parents aren't too traditional and I also grew up in the church, but I think there's just this unspoken and spoken role that you have as the oldest daughter to stay, to get married, to have children in the same space and community that you grew up in. And I think moving farther from home, I've started to realize how important that is and how amazing that is too if you choose to take that path. But personally, I knew I needed to move away to really explore myself and be my own person outside of the community that I grew up in. So it had to happen, but the guilt was still there for sure. I think at that point I was a year out of therapy and I didn't know if I needed to go back because I think I was feeling fine, like depression and anxiety wise, but there was just so much to process. I couldn't really talk to my girlfriends back at home because they wouldn't really understand because they're not in my shoes. I got a therapist. That's what helped expedite my processing and my healing from the guilt. And the guilt to specify it. Guilty that I'm not home with my siblings. Guilty that I'm leaving my parents and I'm not there for them if anything were to happen. As the oldest sister, there's a lot of burden that you carry to fulfill certain duties. And back at home, I am not the motherly type at all. But when it comes to my family and as the oldest sister, I definitely do feel that sense of responsibility. So I do my best to fulfill it without compromising myself or my own independence. And I think I did a really good job of balancing that when I was back at home. But moving farther from home, it's like I'm being stripped away of that role, or I have to kind of look at it in a different way. With my therapist, I was able to understand that it's okay to move out. I think that's the first thing that I felt a lot of guilt and tension with. And it's okay to feel guilty, but also not let it take over your actions. Because I think when I first moved here and I had all that guilt, I couldn't do anything with myself. Or I felt guilty doing things like going out and partying or doing certain things when I knew that there was stuff going on at home. And then I also had my parents who were very supportive, but also they babied me a lot growing up as a kid, so it was heartbreaking away from that, especially when you're hours away. And to New York specifically, the most expensive and craziest city, and where there's rarely any Hmong people to have that community support that you feel a lot when you're back at home. Another thing for context too is I never imagined moving outside of Minnesota. Even during college, my eyes were set on, okay, like I will find a job in the Twin Cities, I will work at an agency, I'm gonna make it work. But I think when my friend presented me with the opportunity of New York, it was like, oh, like that makes more sense for my ambitions, for my goals, and for the experience that I'm wanting, because when you're back at home, there's just so much going on. I didn't want to come to New York specifically. If I were to choose between LA and New York, I was like, if I had all the money and the power, I would move to LA because it's warm, it's sunny, there's space, it's spread out, and it's more chill. Back at home, I was always on the go, always doing something, always booked and busy. And so I was scared to move to New York because it was like, what if I move here and it's the hustle times 2 and I lose my brains and my brains explode. So there was definitely a lot of that emotion coming through as well. I had those first 2 months to kind of process, and then it went straight into June, July, August, which is New York summer, where you're always, especially when you've just moved into the cities, there's parties to go to, people to meet, you're finding new friendships, cultivating new friendships, spending a lot of money on apartment things, your new lifestyle, your new fashion, food, dinners. I realized that I didn't know who I was in this environment, because I feel like whenever you're in a new environment, you're adjusting to who you're with. And I was still trying to find out, like, who are my people? Does this serve me at these parties? Am I actually having fun? But I think I needed those experiences to understand my comfort level and also what I consider as fun. And I never felt lonely, fortunately. My friends back at home, I would make an effort to talk to them, to FaceTime them, to keep those relationships going. But I will say it was a lot of effort and a lot of energy. And so I think by September, my 6 months into New York, I was exhausted on all fronts, and I would spend weeks, because I work from home, so I would spend weeks just in my room and I wouldn't come out even on weekends. And at the time, I thought it was just me going back into a depression, which it kind of did feel like that, but it also wasn't as deep. It was just I was exhausted mentally, emotionally, physically, and I feel like I needed to figure myself out or just take time to heal from everything that happened during the summer, which, and when I mean healing, nothing bad happened, but just like from all of the going out every single night. And I am an extrovert, so I enjoy meeting people. I enjoy being in large spaces like that, but I think it took a lot out of me. I'm still an extrovert, but maybe I also need time for myself. And I think I knew that before I moved here, but it was like a big slap in the face of like, girl, you need time to yourself. You need to take that time or else you're going to die mentally. And then I think around the 7th, 8th, 9th month, I started to actually be like, okay, I feel like I have these specific individuals who I consider as friends, who I enjoy their company. Everything's gonna be okay. I'm gonna be here for another year, for sure, at least. So I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with it, because I think I spent this very first year figuring out my mentality and what I actually want to do with my time and what New York has to offer. So I feel like this year is a matter of doing it. And it's been 1 month and I haven't done anything, but I think that's okay. There's a lot of rich, privileged people here. You just kind of realize the cultural norms and differences that you might have. And I think that was also really hard for me to adjust, because I grew up very low income, a large church community, friends at school who were also low income, who had to struggle a lot, and were also first generation college students. And so there's just a different perspective that we have in terms of money. We have a different relationship with money, a different relationship with how we are with our parents and our siblings from the ethnicity level. Like, I've had so many instances where I've had to explain my ethnicity to people, because I grew up where there's a bunch of home people, and now I'm like at a place where there isn't much. And so I think that's also been a really fun point, is being able to share my culture with people. I have to hurry this up because I need to make rice. I think one thing I did that I really appreciated myself is spent a lot of time alone and tried a bunch of different hobbies. So I've done pole dancing, aerial yoga, hot yoga, Pilates. I did Pilates for 6 months straight, bouquet making, dance classes, and then recently heels classes. One thing I don't talk about a lot is I've also, my first few months here, I hosted 4 cup sleeve events. They were all so fun. I think it's also fun being closer to concerts. And I really didn't think that I would stay in New York those first 6 months, because it was brutal emotionally. But I think once I got through that hump, it allowed me to realize all the good things about it and all the great things that it's allowed me to explore and do. And all the really cool people I've met who've really inspired me just to be better as a person, in my career. And there's definitely something to say about the energy in New York that you can't really replace with any other city. It definitely is the city that never sleeps. Something that I wanted when I moved here was two things. There's two things that I asked God for. One is a challenge, which I regretted asking for halfway through because it was so hard. And two was to learn how to rest, because moving here I was not resting in the ways that I should have been. I definitely was sleeping, but I think there's different forms of rest. Taking time for yourself, being able to understand when you need rest, what kind of rest that you need. That was all very crucial to me being my best self. It's so weird how the universe kind of brings these things to you without you realizing it. And at the end of the day, I am just so grateful and appreciative of the people who have helped me get here. My therapist, my parents, my ancestors, and just everyone in New York who's been a sense of home for me, because my community is so important. And my therapist said on average it takes 5 years to find your community, so it's only in year 1. I still think I have a long way to go in terms of figuring out how to keep my peace but also grow. And growing, it requires outreach, it requires doing things that you aren't comfortable doing. I also hope to vlog more because I never regret vlogging my experience. I actually really enjoy it. I enjoy like looking back on things that I've done or memories that I've made with people, and I feel like I keep putting it off because it is a lot of work. I know why content creators do this stuff full time now, because it's very crazy. I'm gonna go make rice. They gave us gloves. Whoa! Wow! I don't know where to start. I'm alone. That's beautiful. Cheers. Wow. I've never had marinated shrimp. So. Yeah. Oh! So good. I'm so happy. What are you?